Have you ever wondered why the more you chase someone, the faster they seem to disappear? Have you noticed that the people who receive the most attention are often the ones who ask for it the least? This is not luck. This is not magic. It is a law of human nature that most people never understand. The moment someone feels they already own your attention, your value begins to fall in their mind. But when your attention becomes rare, your presence becomes powerful. If you want him to chase you, stop thinking about how to impress him. Start thinking about how to become impossible to replace. Power does not belong to the loudest person. It belongs to the person who controls desire without becoming controlled by it. This is the lesson that history has repeated again and again. Those who appear desperate lose influence. Those who remain calm create mystery. And mystery is the beginning of attraction. Today, you will learn the hidden principles behind making someone invest in you willingly. Not through games, not through lies, but through understanding the psychology of value, scarcity, and emotional control. Listen carefully, because one wrong habit can push someone away, while one small change can make them wonder about you long after the conversation ends. The first mistake most people make is believing that love grows from giving more and more attention. They think that replying instantly, always being available, constantly checking it, and saying yes to everything will make someone appreciate them. It sounds logical, but human nature rarely follows logic. People protect what they earn. They often ignore what is handed to them without effort. This is why many people discover a painful truth. The harder they try to keep someone interested, the less interested that person becomes. Think about a rare diamond. Its value does not come from its beauty alone. Its value comes from its rarity. If diamonds were lying on every street, nobody would stop to pick them up. Your time works the same way. Your attention works the same way. If someone can have unlimited access to you, they stop seeing your presence as something valuable. They begin to expect it instead of appreciating it. This does not mean becoming cold or cruel. It means understanding balance. A person who has their own goals, their own passions, and their own direction naturally becomes more attractive because their life does not revolve around one person. Independence creates curiosity. Neediness destroys it. Many people confuse kindness with surrender. They believe that sacrificing their own needs proves loyalty. But endless sacrifice without respect creates imbalance. And imbalance slowly kills attraction. When one person always gives and the other only receives, the relationship begins to feel unequal. The giver becomes exhausted. The receiver becomes comfortable. Comfort often removes excitement. Power begins with self-control. The strongest person in any relationship is not the one who speaks the loudest. It is the one who can control their emotions when uncertainty appears. Imagine sending a message and waiting for a reply. One person checks the phone every minute, feeling nervous, creating stories in their mind. Another person sends the message and returns to building their life. Which person appears stronger? Which person seems more valuable? The answer is obvious. People are naturally drawn toward emotional stability. When someone sees that your happiness depends entirely on their attention, they unconsciously feel pressure. Pressure rarely creates desire. It creates distance. But when someone notices that you enjoy life with or without them, they begin to wonder where that confidence comes from. Confidence is silent. Insecurity is loud. Insecurity constantly asks for proof. It asks, "Do you still like me? Why didn't you reply? Who were you talking to?" Confidence simply observes. It does not rush to conclusions. It allows people the space to reveal themselves naturally. The interesting part is that most people think confidence is something you pretend to have. It is not. Real confidence grows from knowing that your value does not depend on another person's opinion. The moment you stop trying to convince someone to choose you, you become someone worth choosing. Human beings often chase what challenges them just enough to stay interesting. Notice the words carefully. Just enough. There is a difference between mystery and manipulation. Disappearing completely creates confusion. Being available every second creates boredom. The secret lies between the two. Live your own life fully. Let people join your journey instead of making them your entire destination. Imagine two books. One tells you everything on the first page. The other slowly reveals its story chapter by chapter. Which one keeps your attention longer? Human relationships work similarly. When someone learns every detail about you within a few days, curiosity fades quickly. But when your personality unfolds naturally over time, interest has room to grow. This does not mean hiding who you are. It means allowing people to discover you, instead of overwhelming them with information. Let conversations breathe. Let silence exist without fear. Silence often says more than endless talking. Many people panic during silence because they believe something is wrong. They rush to fill every empty moment with messages, questions, or explanations. But silence can create anticipation. Anticipation keeps emotions alive. Think about your favorite movie. If every surprise were revealed in the first 10 minutes, the rest of the story would feel empty. Patience is one of the rarest forms of strength. Most people cannot wait. They want instant answers, instant commitment, instant certainty. But valuable things rarely grow overnight. A tree planted today does not provide shade tomorrow. Relationships follow the same principle. If you constantly demand certainty before trust has had time to grow, you create tension. Instead, allow people to show consistency through their actions. Words are easy. Patterns reveal truth. Anyone can promise loyalty. Only time proves it. One of the oldest strategies in power is observing before acting. Most people react immediately. They become emotional before gathering information. But the wise person watches carefully. They notice small behaviors that others ignore. Does he remember important details? Does he make time when he is busy? Does he keep his promises? These small actions reveal far more than dramatic speeches. The person who controls the pace often controls the emotional direction of the relationship. This does not mean playing games. It means refusing to let fear make decisions for you. Fear whispers, send another message. Wisdom asks, why am I afraid of waiting? Fear says, prove your worth. Wisdom replies, real worth never needs to beg. There is another truth that many people avoid because it feels uncomfortable. Attraction is deeply connected to respect. If someone loses respect for your boundaries, attraction slowly fades. Every time you ignore your own standards just to keep someone around, you quietly teach them that your boundaries are flexible. Once respect disappears, affection struggles to survive. Strong boundaries do not push away the right person. They reveal the wrong one. Someone who truly values you will respect your limits. Someone who only wants convenience will become frustrated, because convenience disappears when standards appear. Notice how powerful people rarely explain every decision they make. They do not spend hours defending themselves against every opinion. They understand that not everyone deserves access to their thoughts. This creates quiet authority. Authority does not come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. Many relationships fail because one person constantly seeks approval. Approval is addictive. Every compliment feels like a reward. Every delay feels like punishment. This creates emotional dependence. Dependence gives away power. Freedom brings it back. Imagine carrying a cup filled to the very top with water. Every small movement causes it to spill. That is how emotional dependence feels. Every delayed reply, every change in tone, every missed call creates anxiety. Now imagine carrying a cup that is only half full. You can walk calmly because small movements no longer disturb you. Emotional balance works exactly the same way. The person who is emotionally balanced becomes unpredictable in the best possible way. They are not controlled by panic. They are not controlled by loneliness. They choose actions carefully instead of reacting automatically. This calmness becomes attractive because it feels rare in a world full of emotional chaos. Another hidden principle is that people remember how you make them feel more than what you say. You may forget the exact words of a conversation, but you remember confidence. You remember warmth. You remember peace. If every interaction leaves someone feeling judged, pressured, or emotionally drained, they slowly avoid those interactions. But if they leave feeling inspired, respected, and understood, they naturally want more. This is why listening often creates more attraction than speaking. Most people listen only to answer. Very few listen to understand. When someone feels truly heard, they associate that comfort with you. Comfort builds trust. Trust builds investment. Investment creates pursuit. Do not mistake attention for affection. Many people give attention because they are bored. Others give attention because they enjoy validation. Real affection reveals itself through consistent effort, reliability, and respect. Learn to recognize the difference, and you will stop chasing empty signals while ignoring meaningful actions. The greatest shift happens when you stop asking, "How do I make him chase me?" and begin asking, "Am I building a life that naturally attracts people who respect me?" The first question focuses on controlling someone else. The second focuses on mastering yourself. History has always favored those who mastered themselves before attempting to influence others. The moment you stop trying to control another person's feelings, something unexpected begins to happen. You become harder to control yourself. This is one of the oldest principles of influence. The person who is free from desperation becomes difficult to manipulate. They no longer panic when someone becomes distant. They no longer rush to fix every silence. They understand that people reveal their true intentions over time, and time is a better judge than emotion. Many people lose their power because they confuse movement with progress. They believe they must always do something. Send another message. Plan another meeting. Explain themselves one more time. Apologize again. But constant action often comes from fear, not wisdom. Sometimes the strongest move is to remain still and let the other person decide whether they are willing to cross the distance. Think about the sun. It does not chase the planets. It simply shines with consistency, and everything moves according to its own path. This is not about becoming arrogant. It is about creating a life so full of purpose that you stop measuring your worth by someone else's attention. People naturally notice those who have direction. A person who spends every day improving their skills, protecting their health, learning new ideas, and building meaningful goals develops a quiet confidence that cannot be copied. It is different from fake confidence. Fake confidence tries to impress everyone. Real confidence no longer needs to. When someone sees that your life continues whether they are present or absent, they begin to understand something important. They are wanted, but they are not needed. That difference changes everything. Want creates appreciation. Need creates pressure. Pressure has destroyed more relationships than distance ever could. Imagine someone constantly asking where you are, what you are doing, why you did not answer quickly enough, and whether you still care. At first it may seem like love, but after a while, it feels like carrying a heavy weight. Affection cannot breathe under constant pressure. Freedom is not the enemy of connection. Healthy freedom strengthens connection. When two people have space to grow individually, they bring more energy into the relationship. They share experiences instead of depending on each other to create every moment of happiness. One reason people begin chasing someone is because uncertainty activates curiosity. But there is a healthy form of uncertainty and an unhealthy one. Healthy uncertainty comes from living a full life. You are busy because you have responsibilities, passions, and dreams. Unhealthy uncertainty comes from manipulation, disappearing without explanation, or creating confusion on purpose. The first builds respect. The second destroys trust. Never confuse strategy with deception. A wise person never needs to lie to appear valuable. Their value comes from their habits, their discipline, and the way they carry themselves. Mystery should come naturally because you are focused on your own path, not because you are acting out a script. Look at the people who command respect in any room. They rarely interrupt. They rarely rush to prove they are intelligent. They speak with purpose, not with urgency. Their silence has weight because it is chosen, not forced. This same principle works in relationships. Every word becomes more valuable when it is not wasted. Many people talk too much because they fear being forgotten. They reveal every thought, every plan, every insecurity, hoping that honesty alone will create closeness. Honesty is important, but timing is equally important. Trust grows step by step. It is like building a bridge. You do not place the final stone before laying the foundation. Another mistake is trying to become exactly what someone else wants. At first, this seems like a clever strategy. You change your opinions. You hide your interests. You agree with everything they say. But eventually, something strange happens. You disappear. The real you becomes invisible, and the relationship is built on a version of yourself that cannot survive forever. People may admire perfection for a moment, but they connect with authenticity over time. Authenticity does not mean sharing every emotion immediately. It means allowing your true character to remain consistent. You do not change your values every time someone new enters your life. Consistency creates trust because it removes confusion. Imagine meeting someone who is warm one day, cold the next, excited the next week, then completely distant without reason. You never know where you stand. Eventually, you become tired. Emotional stability is attractive because it creates peace instead of chaos. Peace is underestimated. Many people believe excitement is the foundation of attraction. Excitement has its place, but lasting attraction depends on emotional safety. When someone knows they can trust your words, rely on your actions, and predict your integrity, they begin investing emotionally. This is why discipline is more attractive than promises. Anyone can promise to change. Very few people wake up every day and prove it. Actions repeated over weeks and months become your reputation. Reputation is stronger than charm, because charm fades when difficulties appear. Imagine two people. One gives beautiful speeches about loyalty, but disappears when problems arise. The other speaks little but always keeps their word. Which one earns deeper respect? The answer is obvious. Reliability quietly defeats empty excitement. There is another lesson that many people ignore. Attraction grows through emotional investment. The more someone contributes to the relationship, the more they value it. This is true in friendships, business, and love. If one person always plans everything, solves every problem, and carries every conversation, the other person invests very little. Allow people the opportunity to contribute. Let them plan sometimes. Let them reach out first occasionally. Let them solve small problems instead of fixing everything yourself. When people invest effort, they begin protecting what they have built. Human psychology works in surprising ways. We often value what reflects our own effort. A painter values a painting because they created it. A gardener values a garden because they cared for it every day. Relationships are no different. Shared effort creates shared attachment. Patience becomes essential here. Many people interrupt the natural process because they become uncomfortable waiting. They send another message before receiving an answer. They offer another explanation before hearing a response. They fill every gap with unnecessary words. In doing so, they remove the other person's opportunity to invest. Silence is not always rejection. Sometimes silence is simply space. Space allows emotions to grow naturally. Constant interruption prevents reflection. Reflection is where appreciation often begins. Think back to moments in your own life. The people you remembered most were not always the loudest. Often they were the calmest. They carried themselves with quiet certainty. They did not compete for attention, because attention eventually found them. Attention follows value. Value follows character. Character follows daily habits. This chain cannot be skipped. Many people want attention without building value. They want admiration without discipline. They want loyalty without becoming trustworthy themselves. The wise person works from the inside outward. Instead of asking how to appear interesting, they become genuinely interesting. They read books. They develop skills. They take care of their body. They improve their communication. They learn patience. These qualities create confidence that no compliment can give, and no rejection can take away. Notice how rejection affects different people. One person experiences rejection and immediately questions their worth. Another experiences rejection and simply thinks, "We were not the right match." The event is the same, but the interpretation changes everything. Your interpretation creates your emotional reality. If every rejection becomes proof that you are not enough, you will spend your life chasing approval. But if rejection becomes information rather than identity, you remain free. You learn without losing yourself. Freedom is deeply attractive because it removes hidden expectations. You enjoy someone's company without demanding that they complete your life. Ironically, this makes your company more enjoyable. People relax around those who do not secretly expect them to carry impossible emotional responsibilities. Gratitude also plays an unexpected role. Desperation focuses on what is missing. Gratitude focuses on what already exists. A grateful person smiles more naturally, listens more carefully, and approaches life with calm energy. This emotional state influences everyone around them. People are drawn toward emotional environments that make them feel lighter, not heavier. If every conversation becomes a complaint, a test, or an argument, emotional exhaustion follows. But if conversations create curiosity, encouragement, and genuine interest, people begin looking forward to them. Remember that influence does not come from forcing outcomes. Influence comes from creating conditions where the other person chooses freely. Choice is powerful because people protect decisions they make themselves. This is why chasing often fails. Chasing removes choice. It overwhelms the other person with pressure. But confidence creates space. And inside that space, curiosity has room to grow. Curiosity becomes conversation. Conversation becomes investment. Investment becomes pursuit. The greatest mistake is believing that someone's pursuit determines your value. It does not. Your value existed long before they noticed you, and it will remain long after they are gone. When you truly understand this, your behavior changes naturally. You stop trying to earn respect from people who refuse to give it. You stop explaining yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. You stop lowering your standards simply because you fear being alone. And strangely enough, that is often the exact moment people begin to see you differently. Not because you changed your appearance, not because you learned clever tricks, but because your energy now communicates something rare. It says, without speaking a single word, I respect myself enough to walk away from anything that does not respect me. That silent message is far more powerful than 1,000 attempts to convince someone to stay. There is one final lesson that separates those who are constantly chasing from those who are naturally pursued. It has nothing to do with beauty, money, or perfect words. It has everything to do with self-respect. The world treats you according to the standards you quietly accept. If you tolerate disrespect because you fear losing someone, you teach them that your presence comes without conditions. But when your standards remain steady, even under emotional pressure, people begin to understand that your time and attention are earned, not guaranteed. Most people are afraid of losing others. Very few are afraid of losing themselves. Yet losing yourself is the greater tragedy. When you change your personality, abandon your dreams, ignore your values, and silence your voice just to keep someone interested, you may keep their attention for a while, but you slowly lose your own identity. A relationship built on pretending can never become a place of real peace. Real strength begins when you decide that being alone is better than being poorly valued. This idea frightens many people because loneliness feels uncomfortable. But loneliness is temporary. Living without self-respect can last for years. One teaches you independence. The other teaches you fear. Fear has a strange way of disguising itself as love. It whispers that you must hold on tighter. It tells you that if you become more available, more forgiving, more patient, and more understanding, the other person will finally choose you completely. Sometimes patience is wisdom, but endless patience toward repeated disrespect is not wisdom. It is surrender. Learn to recognize the difference. A person who truly cares about you may make mistakes, but they will also make efforts. They will listen when something hurts you. They will try to improve. They will not expect you to carry the entire relationship alone. Healthy relationships are built by two people walking toward each other, not by one person doing all the walking. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is emotional observation. Before reacting, ask yourself one simple question. Am I responding from confidence or from fear? This single question can prevent countless mistakes. Imagine receiving a short message after hours of silence. Fear immediately creates stories. Maybe they lost interest. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe someone else is more important. Confidence waits for facts instead of creating fiction. Confidence understands that imagination is not evidence. Most suffering comes from stories we invent before reality has spoken. The mind dislikes uncertainty, so it fills empty spaces with assumptions. Unfortunately, those assumptions are often negative. A wise person trains the mind to pause before believing every emotional thought. This ability to pause gives you tremendous power. It protects your peace. It protects your dignity. It also makes your decisions more accurate because they are based on reality instead of panic. There is another truth that deserves attention. People admire those who respect themselves even when no one is watching. Character is what you do when there is no audience. It is easy to appear confident for a few hours. It is much harder to practice discipline every day. Discipline affects every area of life. The way you keep promises to yourself becomes the way you keep promises to others. If you constantly break your own commitments, your confidence weakens because your mind no longer trusts your words. But every time you finish what you started, your inner confidence grows stronger. This confidence changes your presence. You walk differently. You speak more clearly. You make decisions with less hesitation. None of this comes from pretending. It comes from repeated action. Many people search for secret techniques to become unforgettable. They expect a perfect sentence, a clever message, or a mysterious behavior to solve everything. But unforgettable people are rarely unforgettable because of one moment. They become memorable because of consistent character. Think about someone you deeply respect. Chances are, it is not because they always knew the right words. You respect them because they remained calm under pressure. They stayed honest when lying was easier. They remained loyal to their principles, even when circumstances became difficult. Their actions created trust. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Attraction may begin with excitement, but trust determines whether someone stays. Without trust, every disagreement becomes a threat. Every delay becomes suspicious. Every misunderstanding becomes a crisis. Building trust requires patience. It cannot be rushed. It grows through small moments repeated over time. Showing up when you promised. Listening without interrupting. Speaking honestly without cruelty. Respecting boundaries instead of testing them. Boundaries deserve special attention because many people misunderstand them. A boundary is not a punishment. It is a statement of self-respect. It quietly says, "This is how I allow myself to be treated." The right people do not fear boundaries. They appreciate them because boundaries create clarity. When someone repeatedly ignores your boundaries, pay attention. Do not focus only on their words. Focus on their patterns. Patterns reveal priorities. A single mistake may be accidental. A repeated habit becomes a choice. This is why observation is more valuable than assumption. Instead of asking, "What do they say they feel?" ask, "What do their actions repeatedly show?" Actions remove confusion because they cannot hide forever. Another principle is learning when to let go. Many people believe letting go means giving up. In reality, letting go often means choosing peace over endless struggle. You cannot force someone to appreciate your value. You cannot force maturity. You cannot force commitment. The only thing you truly control is your response. Walking away from disrespect is not weakness. It is evidence that your standards are stronger than your fears. Every time you refuse to accept less than mutual respect, you strengthen your own character. Ironically, people often become more interested when they realize you are fully capable of leaving. Not because you threatened them, not because you played games, but because they suddenly recognize that your presence is a choice, not an obligation. This is an important distinction. Never leave to make someone chase you. Leave because you genuinely refuse to remain where your dignity is ignored. If someone returns with real change, shown through consistent action, that is their decision. But never build your future on promises alone. Your greatest advantage will always be your ability to remain centered regardless of another person's behavior. Imagine living in such a way that compliments do not make you arrogant and criticism does not destroy your confidence. That balance creates inner freedom. Inner freedom changes your relationships because you stop demanding constant reassurance. You enjoy affection without becoming dependent on it. You appreciate attention without needing it to survive. The strongest people are not emotionless. They simply refuse to let emotions become dictators. They feel disappointment, but they continue moving. They feel sadness, but they protect their dignity. They feel hope, but they never abandon reason. Reason is one of your greatest allies. When emotions become intense, slow down. Give yourself time before making important decisions. Many regrets begin with emotional urgency. Very few begin with thoughtful patience. The person who masters patience gains a silent advantage over those who react impulsively. While others create unnecessary conflict, they gather information. While others chase answers, they allow truth to reveal itself naturally. This calm approach creates something that cannot be faked. Presence. Presence is the quiet confidence that fills a room without demanding attention. It is the ability to make people feel heard instead of competing to be noticed. People remember how they felt around you. Did they feel respected, understood, inspired, or did they feel judged, pressured, and emotionally exhausted? The emotional experience you create becomes your invisible reputation. Your reputation is built one conversation at a time. Every interaction either increases trust or weakens it. Every decision either strengthens your character or compromises it. Great influence is never created by one dramatic act. It is built through hundreds of small choices made with consistency. As time passes, you begin to notice something remarkable. You stop worrying about who is chasing whom. That question loses its importance. Instead, you become focused on building a life filled with purpose, discipline, meaningful friendships, and inner peace. When your life becomes meaningful on its own, you no longer expect another person to give it meaning. This changes the energy you bring into every relationship. You are there to share your happiness, not to borrow someone else's. And this is where true attraction quietly begins. People are naturally drawn toward those who carry themselves with calm confidence, genuine kindness, and unwavering self-respect. They sense emotional security. They sense stability. They sense a person who knows their worth without needing to announce it. In the end, the greatest lesson is surprisingly simple. Stop chasing attention. Start building value. Stop fearing rejection. Start respecting yourself. Stop trying to control another person's choices. Start mastering your own. Because the people who are chased the most are rarely the ones who spend their lives trying to be chosen. They are the ones who choose themselves first. They invest in their minds, protect their peace, honor their principles, and refuse to trade their dignity for temporary approval. Remember this whenever you feel tempted to run after someone who keeps walking away. Your energy is precious. Your time is limited. Your attention is valuable. Give these gifts only to those who recognize their worth. The strongest influence you will ever have is not over another person's heart. It is over your own mind. Once you master that, you stop living in fear of being ignored, rejected, or abandoned. You become steady in a world that constantly changes. And when someone finally meets a person who is calm instead of desperate, confident instead of needy, disciplined instead of impulsive, and respectful without begging for respect in return, they notice something different. They feel the quiet strength that cannot be bought, copied, or forced. That quiet strength is what people remember long after the conversation ends. It is what earns respect before admiration. It is what turns attention into curiosity, curiosity into investment, investment into pursuit, and pursuit into something that never needed to be forced in the first place. If this video gave you a new way of thinking, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next lesson. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment below with the lesson that stayed with you the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.